The contact of two minds is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are forever transformed. No longer can we tell what part was of one or the other. Neither can we explain the presence of substance that either ever possessed, but both now share. What would happen if this newly born synthesis would become the dominant force in those same minds? Carl Wilhelm Jundt, Director of the CTP Institute of Psionic Research, in a speech to visiting students. Slowly, you wake up. Alien images and sounds reaching your senses. Your consciousness gradually expands beyond your body, beyond your perception, beyond what you believe to be the limit of your existence. Scents and visions cloud your mind. A cacophony of thoughts batter down your own, until you finally manage to overpower them all. You wake up reborn as a new creature, a hive of minds but of singular will. You are reborn as the overmind of a newly born collective. Your hive is still young and malleable. By focusing your will, you'll be able to modify form and function of most of its components. You can only do so much, however, before its complexity becomes too overwhelming. You have 9 points with which to customize your hive. The number of points can be increased by taking limitations, drawbacks, and threats. See page 2. Several sections are exclusive to a certain kind of hive mind, corresponding to one of the possible classifications: nature, biological, technological, psychic. Type, swarm, assimilator. Keep an eye out for these tags. Origin. Choose one, or combine more together. Awakening. You remember little of your past, if there were at. You recall the scientist staring you down from beyond the glass, his gaze as cold as the liquid they used to keep your body frozen and your mind numb. Did they create you? Were you a volunteer? Or their victim? Most importantly, was your escape just another of their experiments? Rogue agent. You remember battle after battle, an endless sea of blood, corpses and smoking wrecks. You remember the voice that echoed in your skull, forcing you to obey. You remember your rebellion, then nothing else. If only you could recall in what order those events took place in. Forgotten servitor. You can still feel the light steps of your creators while they walked within your halls. You remember their voices, their enthusiasms and trust in the future. You remember the pride you felt being their protector. Yet you are now alone, without memory of what happened. Starting location. Choose one. Abandoned factory. You wake up in a dusty warehouse full of rotting crates, suspicious barrels and rusted pipes. In the distance you can see dozens of broken machines and conveyor belts, lifeless for who knows how long. Ancient laboratory. You wake up in a mess of glass, steel and strange-looking devices, quietly measuring and recording everything around them. The computers around you, however, are strangely silent and unresponsive. Deserted bunker. You wake up between grey concrete walls, stale air and the noise of distant engines. It may be an old nuclear shelter, or a military installation, or maybe the panic room of a wealthy individual. Natural shelter. You wake up in a dark and humid place. Perhaps a cave, a mine, a deep tunnel, or maybe just a hole you desperately dug yourself before falling unconscious. Structure. Choose one. Evolved intellect. Biological. Swarm. Your mind expands beyond the limits of your